right, and a hearty welcome to all of you in the Rabyd Nation, whether you're a tourist just stopping by and subscribing, or you're just looking across the border, or you're an actual citizen of the Rabyd Nation by being a member. Welcome one and all to the Rabyd Nation, and I am your host, Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. This is my channel, the Rabyd Atheist. And this is the live stream, the Fireside Chat on a Monday, where the topics of discussion are completely up to the audience, which, whatever you guys come up with that you want me to talk about, I'll talk about. So that's kind of the way it goes with this stream. There is a goal in the chat. That's my off-key, offside brand of asking for money to keep the streaming going. Appreciate everybody who supports the streams through membership and super chats and all that stuff. Thank you very much. And, I will wear whatever hat is chosen by the poll for the rest of the stream. So there you go. And what do we have here? I see something that's already starred. It's I Killed Earl, the lovely life in which our Lord Naps has upgraded and become a full rabid citizen. Appreciate that, Earl. Absolutely do. We've been working together for quite a while, and I appreciate all that you do. And the fact that you've taken that further plunge absolutely warms my heart, almost as much as Fang's nibbling on it. So there you go. Let's see. Get a quick roll call here. Blossom was here earlier talking about an interaction that they had. Senator Fred was here. I don't know if Cenk is actually still here. To Christian. All right. Well, we're doing all right. I mean, I was talking to Fred earlier about how I'm trying to get my ducks in a row these days, because I don't really do New Year's resolutions. I kind of just have more resolve to do the things that I intend to do all the time anyway, but try to actually make some plans. So there you go. But yeah, I'm doing all right. And Michael, good to see you, Michael. 1 year older yesterday, none the wiser. Yeah, that's kind of how my birthdays go too. Yeah, I know. You're trying to make me squishy and shit. Yes, I feel you. Appreciate you though. Can't speak for how you stopped in because the rest of the Willers. Well, you're still here? Okay, there you go. I didn't know because it's been a while from the content. I don't know. Yeah, it goes with the intro music. Images marching with carrots on the right shoulder. I don't know, Earl. Is that one on your list? See, we're the Rabyd Nation. Like, I've done the nation thing. I'm a poli-sci guy, so I have a poli-sci degree. So, and I'm a big fan of the Republic of Rome era. It's kind of dramatic. So, I don't know. It's the chink. It could be. We'll see. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Ever since I've done the Rabyd Nation, it's been great. I mean, adding Fangsology as the official religion of the Rabyd Nation. So there you go. Blossom, good to see you. The interaction you had, Blossom, I find very interesting because it was about unicorns and God. And I'm trying to remember my mythology, but I think, as I recall, the original unicorns, if I'm remembering correctly, weren't nice. Like, they were mean. So they used those horns. So there you go. But yes, it's like it's one of those things where I seem to recall in my mythology that unicorns had different attitudes about things, as I recall. And then that's a lot of cases, a lot of mythology, but the God of the Bible is definitely still worse. I've heard of it. So yeah, I don't know. I won't say that I watch it. I don't think I do. I think I've watched it a couple times. I have a tendency to be that way, Earl. Like, I look for titles that interest me. I don't really care who's producing them unless So I'm not sure I've watched the Young Turks very much. So every once in a while I catch a clip from them that I find interesting, or something that they did on a podcast, or something that I find interesting. There's just so much media out there to try to digest. So no, I didn't kill us unless you're a pure virgin maiden. Yeah. That's probably, yeah, because I seem to remember like they're very protective and vicious. They use those horns for a reason. So where Greg Koch will use philosophy and a call and to say he didn't see a distinction. I don't believe, and I believe there is no God. He doesn't see a distinction in that. Uses philosophy and a call only to say he didn't see a distinction between I don't believe and I believe there is no God. So he doesn't see the distinction, even though he has. Yeah, I think Michael hit it makes only sense if they only take one God into account at best. Like, Coco should know better, because there's like multiple gods that are proposed. So he doesn't believe in certain gods either. So what philosophical distinction does he make then? You need to touch grass. Now, honestly, Earl, if I tried to keep track of everything, I'd spend all my time doing nothing but. Like, I have to peruse my YouTube channel looking for things that interest me, just like anybody else. It's been interesting, like the atheist sphere that I regularly look at every week. Like a lot of YouTubers that are big now in atheism only produce like 1 or 2 videos a week, so it's not that hard to keep up with. It's interesting that the topics don't always interest me, even with those guys. Like, to me, biblical scholarship catches my attentions. You want to know all the things? I'm not sure that's possible. Yeah. I don't know. Coco never. It's like all the apologists, like Frank Turek. Where is he at? In front of college students. Charlie Kirk, before he was killed, college students. Never professors. Like, the few times that they've taken on professors, they've gotten their asses handed to them, and so I think they kind of backed off of that. So yeah, I don't know. Coco always strikes me as a guy who's playing it safe. Like, he might be a genuine believer, but he plays it safe all the time. I don't think he takes callers, and I never really see him set up anything. Like that time he peeled on that billionaire show with, as the theist apologist in the room, and that's one of the first times I've seen him like on a stage with other people, like, in a while. Coco tends to keep to himself. So I don't know. You got the Slash top hat and the regular top hat. It's hard to beat Slash, to be honest. I'm a master philosophy justifies specific atheism. Yeah, it's just because I have a degree in theology. Do I get to define what belief in God is, and everybody else just has to accept it? No. The problem with philosophy degrees, like inspiring philosophy, when I first saw him many years ago, I thought, okay, here's a genuine seeker who's seeking after the truth. And now over the years, he's been given answers to all his questions and stuff, and he still doubles down on the faith thing. Well, okay, well, now you're not really being an honest seeker anymore. You're kind of like, you're going everywhere else. And part of that is they get their master's degree in philosophy. And the problem I see with philosophy degrees, every person I've met with them, it's like they're kind of arrogant, like they know something about everything. And a good philosopher realizes he doesn't. Okay. And that's, just because you have a degree, it's like I said when we're doing the whole Habermas thing, I don't give a damn what your degree is. I'm looking at the quality of your work. I'm looking at your research. I'm looking at your data. I'm looking at, no matter how far you get into this game of academia, you still have to put up the work. Okay. And if you think you can just ride on the coattails of your degree, yeah, it just doesn't work for a lot of people. Yeah. Still figure out there'd be some God doesn't exist. Yes. And I think that's Kokel's problem if he's defining it that way, Michael, because if I'm thinking about it, I'm still thinking about it a little bit, but he's like, so you don't have a distinction about the gods that you don't believe in. Like, you don't believe those gods exist. So seems like we'd have other categories of belief and non-belief from us. So 61 in life is fun. There you go. It's the only acceptable place for wrinkles is on your brain. Where any convincing evidence for anything super consequently I cannot believe. You like that idea? All right. She likes Fred's idea. CPAGs from philosophy that make me question their university. Yes, I know. And that's kind of my point. Like, I think the problem, certain degrees, just, you got the degree and that implies somehow you have some authority to speak in the subject. And other degrees, you still have to, like, you still have to prove that you are on the cutting edge and learning and pushing it. Philosophy degrees allow you to get them, and then you kind of just rest on your laurels. Oh, I got my degree in philosophy. And it's like, yeah, what's your data? Okay, are you giving me anything? So, oh, further up. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to catch up with chat mostly. You have crazy ideas? Yeah, Earl's repeatedly said she gets best ideas from me. Okay. Yeah, cats win, I suppose. I don't think they ever got over being ruled as gods in Egypt. I think that's something that miss them, that we still don't do that. So, hey, well, good to see you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. If Kokel is defining that, like, he's assuming a monotheistic God versus no gods. So, and as I've said before, like, a lot of the arguments against the existence of God do very well at nailing the monotheistic, all-powerful God. But in my series, of the arguments against the existence of God, I did bemoan the fact that there isn't really a good argument against all gods. Like, I think the closest that I came was Occam's razor. We just don't need them anymore, and they don't really explain reality, so we can get rid of them. But that's about it. They get triggered by the word atheist. Yes. It's, let's be honest. The theists have done a really good job of propagandizing that word, that even atheists, people that describe they have no belief in God, but I'm an agnostic. No, you're a flipping atheist. You don't believe in God. Okay. It's a definitional term. And that's kind of, when people ask me why the rabid atheist, why not the rabid agnostic? Because I'm not a chicken. Like, I'm not a coward to take on the propaganda. Like, I'm very much understanding that the term atheist has been so propagandized by religious people and successfully done so. It really, it just has a problem politically. Okay. And so people just, they hear that term and they get triggered, and it's like, you believe so much. Like, do you have an active belief in God? No. Well, then you're an atheist too. It's like, I really have a problem sometimes that people don't know the distinction between knowing and believing. Like, agnosticism deals with knowledge and atheism deals with belief, and you can be both. So, yeah. Kokel's announcements show up on my YouTube feed, and I keep trolling the comments. I blame YouTube. Oh, yeah. Some of the comment sections of certain places are pure gold. Hey, Paul. That is dedication. Yeah, all my streams are at 7 o'clock Eastern now. I got some announcements of that. As a matter of fact, I could probably do those right now. I'm going to, not this week, but next week, I'm going to add a Wednesday live stream. And perusing around various live streams around the internet, I got an idea. I used to do a regular Bible study video style. And so Wednesdays, I'm going to start a Bible study type thing from an atheist perspective. And I'm going to start with the teachings of Jesus. So here, let me put this up. But I'm going to title this first series I'm doing about red letters, red flags, a critical journey through the teaching of Jesus. And each week we'll be going through the teachings of Jesus in the order that the gospel literature would put it as best we can know based on that. And we're going to go through that on Wednesdays. I used to teach Bible studies all the time, and now we're just going to do it live. I was going to do this as another video series, but I think this would be better live, where we can put up some of the teachings of Jesus on a Wednesday and say, hey, what do you think about it? So yes, but there'll be, I'm sorry for the time stream. Hey, you excited? All right, there you go. But yes, I'm going to do this part on a Wednesday. For those of you that can't be there live, of course, you can comment later. Like all my streams are going to start hitting about an hour pretty hard. That way I can keep my sanity. And then I'm going to start working towards the video production again too. So it's going to be, I think it'll be fun. We're going to start out with some of the first things that Jesus says according to the Gospels, and then we're just going to keep working our way through it all the way to the end. And then we'll pick up something else after we're done with that. So there are such a thing. I mean, if you absolutely know that there is no God and you can prove that, I think at that point, though, you're making a claim. Like you're the guys that claim there is no God and just straight up say it. And at that point, you do have to kind of give your evidence. So your guy, I don't. I mean, you look into as a criteria like Ehrman's used to say they know the original actual Jesus said. Yes, this I will be Stormburn. I'll probably be addressing that issue at points in this. So when I do this on Wednesday starting next week, we will talk about some of that stuff of like how do we know Jesus said this stuff? Like if the historicity is questionable, why isn't the ideological teaching also questionable? Like, why do we make this distinction? Oh, well, maybe Jesus didn't die on a cross, or maybe he was buried in a mass grave, or all of this stuff is kind of like, how do we know that people didn't screw with the teachings of Jesus as well? And how do we make the distinction about whether or not Jesus actually said something or not? Like I like to take Bart Ehrman on that on too, because one of the problems I have with Bart is he doesn't seem to realize he's thrown enough questions onto the whole historicity thing that how do we even know that Jesus existed becomes a real rational question based on his own criteria. Like, how do you continue to say he probably existed if all this other stuff? So yeah, it definitely brings up, I can bring up some of those issues and we can talk about some, like, how do we know that these are the teachings of Jesus is a very valid question. Like, how do we know, just like the history of adding like the resurrection and the birth narrative, how do we know that somebody didn't come along and add their own teachings and pass them off as Jesus's? Like, how do we don't know that? And we don't know that. Hey, Native. Okay, there you go. Yeah, the likelihood is very low. I kind of am that Vone too. Changes dependent on the specific God claim. Yeah, that's probably valid. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room for that discussion too. But like, if we're questioning the historical events like the resurrection, the zombies coming out of the tombs, why aren't we questioning whether or not the teachings of Jesus are actually from Jesus as well? Like there's a room for that criticism too. Like, is this a teaching of Jesus or is this a later addition by the church? We know people screwed with the text. How do we know that in the oral tradition that led up to the Gospels being actually written down in the first century, that somebody didn't add their own teachings and pass it off as Jesus's during the oral tradition phase? Like, is the teachings of Jesus another kind of fabricated thing, and do we have evidence of that? Does something that Jesus says in one spot contradict with another thing he supposedly said some other place in another gospel? It's a valid question, and it's something I hope to address in this series. But we're going to look at the red letters in your, like some Bibles have Jesus's teachings in red, and that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. So we'll probably put the context in the literature. I'm not viewing Jesus as a historical figure. I don't want to get bogged down in that discussion. We're just looking at the literature and what it says about him. So, yeah. Well, and we also have, like, Richard Carrier's book is basically questioning whether the historical Jesus is a proper paradigm. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet, but very interested to hear what he has to say about that. Because the historical Jesus has been a paradigm since I've been in scholarship, since I started my degree way back in Bible college. Like, the whole issue of the historical Jesus has been around for a long time, longer than I've been in academia. So it's the fact that somebody is finally coming around and saying, maybe that's not even something we need to talk about anymore. It's like, it might be interesting. Find a citation for how my scholars are so confident the Gospels were Greek originally. I vaguely recall people discussing poetic elements that wouldn't translate from the Hebrew. Because we don't have any example of a Hebrew text except one later. And Jesus wouldn't have spoken Greek or Hebrew anyway. He would have spoken Aramaic, which is kind of a Jewishized, Hebraized form of Persian. So it's like, it's a complicated question. But I remember when I was in Greek class, we talked a lot about how they wrote in Greek because it was more the language of the common man. Like, more people spoke Greek than Hebrew or Latin. And so, yeah, too many podcasts, not enough reading. That's probably valid for me too. I watch too much videos and I should be reading more. Yeah, there are probably some parts that if it was written in Hebrew, Greek would have a hard time translating it, because there's a lot of words that have emotional cultural understanding that don't translate well without a lengthy translation. Like, you have one word and you have to write a paragraph to explain it. So, well, we'll see. I've got Valentine's Day coming up here, so there might be a red hat. This is going to take a while to get through the teachings of Jesus. So, but I'm looking at it critically, and Stormburn brings up a very valid question about, okay, if we're questioning the historicity of the events surrounding Jesus Christ, why aren't we questioning his teachings, whether they're his teachings or not? Like, does this belong to Jesus? Like, if he didn't exist, of course, none of them actually belong to Jesus. Somebody made them up. And so does that speak to the community of faith of Christians coming up with their teachings and then passing them off as their founders? That's a very interesting thought. So a lot of people were bilingual, multilingual from a speaking point of view, whether they could read those languages. But yeah, translators back then were much more, probably even more important. Now we have technology to do a lot of translation for them, but before the technology, having a translator around that knew multiple languages was very valuable, even back in the ancient world. You had the Romans with their Latin, you had the Greeks that had Hellenized the whole area, you had the local dialects, which you may know 2 or 3 of them because people spoke different languages even among clans. So it helped to have a universal language. And I think the reason most of the time that Bible college instructors told me it was written in Greek is it was more of a universal language at the time than even Latin. So it was that. So good question. it's it's the one thing that I've brought up since I was in Bible college. Like, why didn't Jesus write something? Like, it seems like he could have cleared up a lot of the teaching confusion as if he just had written something himself. So yeah. Actually writing his name by copying letter shapes. We have this, yeah, that it literacy wasn't really the greatest, but knowing how to speak a bunch of languages was still valuable. So, yep. That's another issue to discuss because is it this the elite in Christendom that are commissioning the Gospels to be written in the second century? Is it the elite in Christendom that are kind of influencing the theology and the teachings of Jesus? Yeah, you can see that. I mean, because when some of you, like, I always love how liberals like to quote some of the teachings of Jesus about, giving this and doing that and being kind to one another and all that. But, there's other parts of Jesus's teachings that are very, shall we say, pro landowner, pro master over the slave, too. So he never condemns it. In fact, he uses it in some of his parables. So that's something we'll discuss in that series, too. So, why is the Bible not in God's language? All people instantly comprehend, believe. God is so inept. Yes, he is. Yeah, definitely, Ron. Like, caravan routes were a big thing. The Peace of Rome. Like, you could travel inside the Roman Empire without having to worry about too much. Like, there's always bandits and rogue groups and things like that, but you didn't have to, like, say, oh, I can't go into that country, because the Romans kind of pacified things, so you could travel. So there were a lot of languages bumping into each other. Yes, that's a funny scene. Oh my goodness. You are using ichthys because worshiping a illogical, authoritative digger is extremely icky. Yes, it is. Oh, maybe God is illiterate as well because they never created, thus they're never young and didn't go to school. That's possible. I know there were politicians that indicated lots of low class people were citizens, but they weren't the ones writing, copying, and dictating. Exactly. Like, what people don't realize about literacy back then, it's like, what's a good equivalent? It's like being a scribe or somebody that could read and write was very much put you in a skill set that would be very similar, like being somebody who knows everything about computers and a computer tech. And you know it's not that a lot of people couldn't do it, it's just it was expensive. Like, if you want to have top end, like, if you have to run a business that requires top end computer hardware and software and people that know how to do it, that's expensive, right? That's kind of how expensive it was to write things and put things into books and scrolls and stuff like that. It was not cheap. Okay. Paper was not cheap. Books weren't like the first, codexes of the scriptures were expensive to make. And in order to have that, you're going to have a patron at least that put the money behind it to have it done. Okay. So when you see things copied and done like that, it's because somebody's financially backing this thing, and poor people can't financially back the writing of the Gospels. It tells me that the second century Christians were starting. There were some of them that were starting to get affluent. If the first century was a poor movement, which we can shrug our shoulders about that too, but I would say by the second century, you have some affluent believers that are now backing the faith, and so they're backing it with their money, and they're getting codexes made, they're getting scrolls done, they're getting manuscripts copied, um, and maybe influencing what is said. So, yes, Icky Esper. Oh my goodness. We'll see. The acting react to also apparently rare to have scriptures available to reference, which explains the mistakes, even centuries later getting yeah, because like a lot of these church fathers had either bad copies or they were borrowing copies probably of somebody else's stuff. Like people who could read and write back then often like had their little groups where they would exchange writings and stuff like that. So it's also possible like some of these fathers of the Christian faith were quoting from memory, something they heard or read that they no longer had in their possession. And so yeah, you can have that too. Um, sorry, back then you had a very exclusive club that knew how to read and write. Like it we take it, a lot of us Westerners take reading and writing for granted, but it's like back in the day, not even too much long ago, like 200-300 years ago, literacy was a skill that people valued. Like if you could read and write, you could get a job, like a better job. Okay, so that's not necessarily the case anymore, but back then if you were a scribe, you had stable employment. Like there was always somebody that wanted you to copy something or write something or put together something, or they would dictate something to you and you'd write it down and you'd make good money doing that. And the paper was expensive and the ink was expensive. So, so yeah, once Caesar gets involved in the 4th century, yeah, it's kind of the money is there. So thing with in the universe is stationary, perfect, and so on. Yes, it's Reverb Twang. Good to see you. Yeah, the Catholic Church eventually had a large amount of money and power, and so they copied things. The Orthodox Church, the same. Like it's what's interesting with Jesus's life, though, is the 1st century is kind of this black hole where we don't know much, and all of a sudden we know some things because there were definitely some church fathers that wrote, but it's like the gospels are still a problem because, as I've stated before, the authors don't self-identify themselves. The sources are unknown of the stories. And yeah, so we're going to look at it as literature, as a expression of the life of Christ, whether mythological or historical, and ask the question, do these teachings have any value? Because lately I've seen in the political sphere where like liberals are like quoting Jesus back to these Republican Christians and saying, you don't seem to be a very good Christian. Well, I'm like, there's some teachings of Jesus I'm kind of glad they don't follow. So, it's like, it's kind of that way. Yeah. The thing about back then is if you got to remember, it's like the upper crust that has the money. It's these people that are commissioning the Bibles and the manuscripts and stuff like that. You don't think that because they're paying the money, they don't want to have some influence on what is said. So, yeah. Probably. Yes. That's kind of interesting because Anne Frank, that was somebody that made that we know more about Anne Frank than Jesus. And that's valid. Very valid. Yeah. The thing about it is, in education was expensive too, Fred. Like we take that for granted too. Like I can get online and educate myself on just about anything these days. But back then, people who knew things sold that knowledge. They didn't just give it away. Okay, like you're not getting my knowledge until you pay the money. I don't know if I don't think he said that, but I do question some of the blesseds. Like if you take some of the teachings of Jesus seriously, and you really look at what they're trying to do, it's a control mechanism. Jesus, I would argue that Jesus has all the air markings of a really good cult leader, and the way he teaches kind of indicates that too. Like the Beatitudes, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit them. Well, you want meek disciples if you want to control them. If you want to manipulate them, yeah, sure. That's a good example. Some Bibles have Jesus's words in red letters. So we're gonna talk about that. I'll be not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. I'm going to start that podcast where we talk about Jesus's teachings. We'll have a critical look at them. Yeah, there's early science fiction goes quite a way back. That's something I learned when I was getting into science fiction and writing some of it. It's like, holy crap. And you start searching what's the earliest forms of science fiction. And yeah, the Greeks had some, like people walking on the moon. And what would that be like? All right. Yeah, see, science fiction is a lot older than people think. And when you look at some mythology is very science fiction-y too. So it's kind of what comic book people, writers, the whole Marvel series of late, has been a mixture of that. So manufacturers of dairy products. Oh, I don't know about that. The Vitas, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like it's why I'm still into mythology, even though it took an interview of Kip Davis by Apologia where they were going over something on one of his videos to get me back interested in biblical mythology, because I've studied biblical mythology pretty much all my life and getting old. And now it's like, okay, if I could look at it politically, I could see it having some more fun with it. Yeah, and well, I think realistic science fiction is what most people gravitate towards, Bren, because it's like speculation on what the future could bring is always like, I think, beneficial. So, see, yeah, just Medusa is the only woman where it's perfectly acceptable to stare at her boobs instead of her face. So there you go. Perfectly acceptable. So she may want you to stare at her face, but don't do that. I mean, yeah, I think storytelling, like, I don't have a problem with some mythology that has moral lessons of a culture, and that's what it's trying to do. And when you look at the Christians, like there's a morality to early Christianity that I think is expressed in the teachings of Jesus, but I don't think it's as palatable to modern sensibilities as people think it is. Like I look at Jesus' teachings, like if I think of him as a leader of a spiritual cult, I start to look at his teachings with a little bit more suspicion. Like, what is he trying to do with it towards these people? What is he trying to get them to do? Um, and that's kind of, that's just me being a suspicious, cynical person at times. But I think it's valid. But I think, this is going to be an interesting thing once I get it rolling. I think because we're going to find out how much speculation there is as to where there's something is actually a teaching of Jesus. So, yeah, she says my eyes are up here. Yeah, yeah, you got to not listen to that. with Medusa, you can't listen to that. You got to avoid that. She measured as a realistic trends in conflict. Yeah, I mean, I think that's valid, but I think also like reaching for the stars isn't completely invalid either, because you might find something in all of that. They're like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Let's explore that a little bit. So, yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of stuff that's very satisfying. Like I like Dune as far as it goes. It's a very interesting world, and I have to give him credit for coming up with some interesting cultures and how things would be different. But yeah, I can see it. Suspicious finds. Okay, there you go. Thank you much again. That's two. The fedora is winning. It's the first time the fedora has won a election in a while. Might be excited for that. Yeah, there's a lot of religion in it, but I can understand. See, the thing about it though is you can see how religions develop in Dune, like why a religion would exist. It has more to do with the culture than actual spiritual beliefs in Dune. Like you can understand why like some people thought people were spiritual because they did drugs. Like if you understand my meaning, like I can understand how cultures develop their religion to back up what they already perceive and believe. You know, they create religions to back that up. So like it's kind of fun. So there you go. I You can read the book. The book will keep your mind jumping a little bit. I mean, it's more fantastic science fiction than probably realistic, but it has its cultural commentary and its religious commentary pretty interesting. So, so Stormburn's going for the fedora. All right, got three, two more. Yeah, that's when the story goes really nuts. Like I haven't read it in a long time. I read it when I was a teenager. Read some of the ones, and then read some of the ones later when I was a young adult. He's been around for a while. Like Dune has been around for a long time. So, and some of the rest of them, but Arthur C. Clarke, and of course I'm a Heinlein fan. I have a lot of his stuff. In fact, I have all of his stuff. Yes, I stick with Frank. I didn't like some of the later ones because they were written by his kid. And he got, I see sound though. Yeah. And that's kind of the point though, Earl. Like if you got somebody out there doing some sort of psycho drug, you know, where they're seeing stuff, then those people can pass that off as visions, you know, like Native American mythology with peyote is interesting because they consider a drug use a spiritual practice. So I can see where religions come from and how they always reflect the culture that they're in. So, Jesus, spot. Like the remembrance of Earth's past series in science fiction as religion is in it, but is treated as animalistic and not advanced thought. Yep, I can see that one. Hey, Fred, thanks. As I was told, the stories remain fiction until you can show convincing evidence of fact. That is correct. Thank you very much. Outstanding. Well, we only need one more. One more, and right now the fedora is still winning. Not by much, though. The newsboy and slash top hatter. Nobody wants the top hat. Well, yeah, we have to get another regular hat besides the regular top hat. And you go up against slash. I guess that's the problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can understand where religion develops if if you have these people that say they're seeing visions of God or visions of whatever, and they're high, and they don't understand like basic, alchemy kind of stuff, mixing herbs and stuff together and getting certain results. And then those people become the wise people and the shamans. I can absolutely understand where some religions come from because they just don't have a better explanation. Um, but I don't know if that holds up water today anymore. Because when somebody's high, I'm just not really trusting of what they're saying. So, so it might be the drugs talking. It might be. Oh, it looks like we made it. Look at that. Stormburn. Send many donos. There you go. I have debated that for a long time, Stormburn, about donation amounts. But there's the fedora with the blue band and the blue feather. So, Reddit. It's super intriguing when you look at it from a like old religions and seeing how it reflects how they must have lived. Yes, and I think that's kind of my fascination for it now too. I can't deny that religion's still going to have a major effect on human beings for the foreseeable future. It doesn't have an effect on me personally. When I hear religious claims, I kind of dismiss them until they prove themselves. And so far, no takers. So, but I haven't used it in a long time. Alcohol. Yeah, I haven't done any alcohol in a while either, Fred. I'm with you. Living with religious people today is kind of viewing them with the same fascination and like they actually believe this, huh? Yeah. Man, I've a lot of comedians have joked that way, like, that religion just seems stupid, and then they remember, well, mine kind of seems stupid too. So, yeah, fedora. There you go. Yeah, I don't wear the fedora much. It used to be like this icon of the atheists on YouTube, but I haven't seen too many people do it much more. So, in religion and destroys it as fundamentally as the same with little distinctions. Yes. And I think that's kind of where I've gotten to, Bren, when I look at religion now. It's like there's a commonality behind all religions. And I think that commonality is trying to explain something that's unexplainable. And instead of waiting, people are just, I've said it before, I think people are just uncomfortable saying, I don't know. It makes them feel kind of weak, or vulnerable or something. And so they don't like that. So they like having something that gives them all the answers, where you don't have to answer, I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, let's see. I want to just remind you, there's a circumcised carrot. But yes. Yeah, it really is all vibes and things, Brent. It really is. Trey Dyer with school now. I don't even know who that is. And school me on what? Like, what are we talking about that he would school me on? Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's the old saying? Like, all religions are cults, and cults are just a very small religion. So I'm not really into debate, bro. I also don't really do that. Yeah. Who is, I don't know who he is. So, and I always wonder why does this have to be a schooling? Why can't we sit back and mutually discuss things and learn things together? Like, I don't have a problem with theists coming on my channel. It's just like, I don't get it. I mean, one reason I hang around these streams. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know what that means. School me. What does that mean? What's he going to do? Like, he's going to teach me something? I don't know. Character I wrote and joined a sector from Christianity. I made reasoning simple, better, proof subjectively, but nothing empirical. Yes. Yeah, mom's not doing so well today. She's like, the answer to that, only God is so annoying, particularly to admit they ignore but use God as a middleman. Yes. Hey, listen, I'm not into debate. Like, I'm into having good discussions. I don't really care if somebody can school me or not. Like, the nice thing about being an atheist is I can sit there and say, I don't know, and I'm comfortable with some of the things that I don't know. So, what are we talking about? Like, I don't know. Christos? Oh, that's a deep subject, even from a Christian point of view. I would say now, as a guy with a master's degree in theological studies, I would say it's a theological term that we debate a lot. So, what it means, I don't know. He's not the Messiah, he's just a very naughty boy. I've never heard that. What on earth isn't even a J dryer? I don't know. Person doesn't know what words mean and is actually against learning. Yes. I've been asked to debate before, Storm, and I've turned it down every time. I made that decision very early on when I started this channel that I was not going to debate people. You want to do get in the comments of a video or stream and do a discussion, fine. If you want to, write some comments that I can talk about and react to, and you can react to back and forth and be civil, fine. I've just never, the debate format just doesn't appeal to me personally. So it's just not my thing. So Earl's grumpy and popcorn. Here, I'll put something up that'll make Earl feel better. There we go. This is one of her jobs, her works, which you can now see that the real Rancor has been added. The Rancor Seeker. Okay. Well, yeah, all right, fine. They can have Adam. I haven't seen that. Myth Vision or Matt Dillahunty are like, they're not my favorites anyway. So those two guys really aren't my favorites that much. So I know there's a couple guys I know that are named Christos. So maybe that's them. Yeah, I've already had experience with Jim Bob. I think I have a playlist about him. Yeah, he's a Philbert presuppositionalist. That's probably the best description of him. Like, I stopped talking to Jim Bob a long time ago. He doesn't want to actually learn anything. He's already got it all figured out. Who am I to break his having it all figured out, and not having any humility about it. So it's as crappy as any of the other arguments for the existence of God. Like, it begs the question. Like, that's my largest problem with almost all the arguments for the existence of God, is they beg the question. So yeah, Matt Dillahunty and I haven't watched Matt in a while. He kind of lost it for me when he kind of lost it. So I don't know, he seems more angry than he ever used to be. He needs to take a deep breath and calm down. But the Kalam cosmological argument I've dumped a long time ago. He had to give it to him on he had gang up on me. Oh, a Jim Bob? I know. I don't give it to many creationists on evolution, because 99% of the time they don't know what they're talking about. And, like, I just reacted to a guy on Saturday that doesn't know the difference between science and pseudoscience. So, and it's hard to listen to somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. And usually when I hear young earth creationists, they're trying to disprove evolution. I'm like, you could disprove evolution all you want. Let's say you're successful. You still haven't proved in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. It's still a claim. So, and you still have to prove it. Okay. All right. That's one way to look at it, I guess. Actually applicable, I guess, in some cases with Christianity. So yeah, sure. With certain people. Yeah, like he's pretty good when he's with certain people. It's when he's not, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like he needs to take a break. Like, he needs to take a sabbatical of like 6 months and just figure it out. But I just don't know if he can afford to do that. That might be the problem. Like, contrary to popular belief, people that do our kind of work don't make a shit ton of money where we can just retire. I know, weird, huh? I still have another job that I have to get to in about an hour. So, I'm gonna have to sign off here in about 15 minutes. But it's like, he's been at it for a while, and I think all of us need a break from time to time. And I don't know, there's some other things that people have told me that are, he's kind of different. He kind of lost me when he went after FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation, because they wouldn't apologize good enough for him about the whole trans thing. And it's like, yeah, they kind of corrected the problem. They hit it off early. They did the typical lawyer thing, views and opinions expressed by these people don't represent FFRF. And he didn't like that. Like that's standard legal practice so you don't get sued. They pretty much did everything he wanted him to do except grovel at his feet. And that's kind of where he lost me. I'm like, dude, we just elected a guy that's promoting Christian nationalism. We're going to need FFRF. All we need, we don't need them bad mouthed right now. Like, and it was just bad political timing. And it's like, dude, just be more conscious that there's bigger things out here than your pet issues sometimes. So yeah, I can tolerate Mithrin where I don't. Yeah, he tends to get liberal supremacist. Yes, that's another one of my problems. As somebody who's poli-sci oriented, I like people that can see all sides of the issue as clearly as possible and then make an opinion. So yeah, it's when you don't know what the word theory means in science. It's probably true. So Justin and Eric both can keep camp, man, but it's still tense and awkward and awful to watch. Yeah, I would agree with that, Earl. I think Matt would be okay if he took a break and sat down intensively with a therapist for a month or two. Like, I think there's a lot of things going on and up in his noggin, and he needs to get them dealt with. And I don't say that as somebody who's demeaning the guy. I'm like, seriously, take a break, take a deep breath, figure out what you need to do to keep yourself a little bit better. I mean, life is too short to be pissed off all the time. Yeah. It's like, so. Yeah, I've had trouble watching Arn Ra. Like, I prefer it when he stuck to science because he was much better at it. Like, I loved his scientific series. He doesn't do them as much. So it's like, probably honesty. Politics is full of politicians. How can that be important? Well, yeah. Is it because he doesn't talk about a religious background? But when I find, yeah, he has a religious past. He does. So he was not always an atheist. So he has a pagan style past. So and he goes through that. It's actually quite interesting. I liked it when he did videos like that where he talked about that and science things. So what comment? I didn't skip over it. Matt just hates being lied to. I don't know about that. I think sometimes he hates it when he doesn't get his way too. So he's like a lot of people. There's nothing unusual about that. But I think he does need a break and to talk to somebody because he seems to be angry all the time. And it's like, people are going to lie to you. So, you can get angry about that, or you can just point out the lie and move on. Like, you don't have to get angry about it. Yeah, it's not a problem. Inspiring philosophy. I think I did that earlier in the stream. When I first was aware of inspiring philosophy, a lot of people, when I first started this channel, you need to go to inspiring philosophy. He has answers to all these questions. And I would go there and I would find the same pat answers that I had heard before from other apologists. And he just seemed to be taking his time about explaining them and regurgitating those same things. But no, I didn't buy it. Now I think he's moving more into the direction of being a shill. Like he's made a brand for himself and he has to stick by it, like no matter what evidence he's shown. So I don't have, they're trying to make it like there's a new generation of apologists that the older ones are trying to pass the torch to, and he just seems to be one of them now. So yeah, there you go. I'll let Earl say that one. Yeah, they tried to make him a Mormon, Evan. And good to see Evan. Yeah, they tried to make him a Mormon, but he rejected it. He actually became more of a pagan, neo-pagan kind of thing, and then he became an atheist. So Mr. Deity is still pretty good. Yeah, inspiring philosophy is he passes. The problem I have with inspiring, I think Rationality Rules did a video on him a while ago where he kind of pointed out that he kind of tries to pass himself off as an authority, even though he doesn't have knowledge in certain areas. Like, I don't know as well about people with philosophy degrees, but they think they're experts in everything. So, like, no, you're an expert in philosophy, and that's as far as it goes. Okay. Like, everything else you need to do. So, yes. Uh, Lang, but his audience doesn't care if the quote means what it says, and it doesn't on the screen. Yes. Yeah. IP has been disappointing. Like, I think he's been answered. Like, he's been given answers, and he knows. And if he does know anything about philosophy and things like that, he should know some of what he's saying isn't hard knowledge, and he should realize that, and he should acknowledge it, but he doesn't. So, uh, pretty much everything. Like, there was one time when he was talking about scholarship about the invasion of Canaan, like by Joshua, like the whole book of Joshua, and he said, "Oh, most scholarship believes that this is actually historical now," and no, it's most scholarship believes that it's pure grade A mythology for the most part. Same with certainly with the Pentateuch, the first five books of the Bible, but he was trying to pass himself off when he was talking about Jericho of how he was an expert in this, and I'm like, no, most scholars don't buy what you're saying. Like, so quit putting that most scholars term in front of your stuff, and I'll probably agree with you. If that's your opinion, just say it's your opinion. But yeah, he tried to pass it. Oh, Jericho like was this town and everybody wasn't there, and so it wasn't as bad a genocide as everybody thinks it is. I'm like, okay, you're trying to make genocides less. Said, why would you have a town with walls if people weren't going to go there to be safe? Like, they weren't there, just a few sex workers and just the soldiers. And I'm like, no, no scholar says that. It's bullshit. So it's about the time I stopped watching him. So, Clockwork Orange. Okay. You don't. Yeah, that's kind of my problem with most of them too. Like, there's none of these people I want to have a beer with. Like, maybe Sean McDowell, maybe, but I don't think he'd have a beer. Like, I think it's probably against his statement of faith to have a beer. I'm not sure. I don't know what the denomination is like. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Sean McDowell, I think I could have a beer with because he's not a dick. Like, okay, like a lot of the rest of him, I don't recall Sean McDowell saying like atheists really believe, they just deny it in their unrighteousness. Like, I can't remember him saying that. And I think it's because he knows it's a bad tactic. Even if he believes it, I don't think he would say it out loud. So I don't think the beer wants excuses is either. Kids naturally see agency in everything, and that says kids naturally believe in God. Yeah, that's kind of a big leap. That's a big lie, I'd say. The pickle garnish. There you go. Cartman would say, "Come on, guys! Like, there's genocides." Yes, exactly. There were. Like, it was really bad because, like, man, I really wish I could remember, but this is something that I think Rationality Rules did something on IP a while ago, and this is something he brought up. Like, he was trying to justify the Jericho massacre of women and children. Like, well, the women and children really weren't there. They were other places. Like, why would they be other places if they're under siege? That's kind of the point of a castle or a fortress, is people go there to be safe from the invasion. So why wouldn't they be there? And he was like trying to give this convoluted bullshit example of how this would work. And nobody wants to simply accept the fact that Jericho just kind of disintegrated, and the later biblical writers said, "Oh yeah, Jericho, yeah, that's our fault." Like they just made it up. Like there's no evidence for what they say, but they just made it up. So. On his sides includes that failed attempts at the USR to get the children raised to believe in God, to worship Satan instead. That didn't happen. Yeah. You don't even know where to begin with IP. Okay, there you go. Oh. Oh, for some of you, I have to do this. I guess I have to do this now. Also running out of time, I think. Yeah, I got about 5 minutes, and then I got to sign off. But yes. Yeah, do I have to pull up the old for fang's sake? There you go. I don't know. Supposed times, I have no idea. I really did. Oh, Stalin, not Satan. Okay, there we go. That did happen. It's really dumb. As much of the USSR was. Yeah, Stefan. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I can put it up on screen for you, seeing that it doesn't show up on StreamYard for some reason. I can do every other comment except my own emojis. It's hilarious. But there you go. Yeah, honestly, inspiring philosophy, I had high hopes for when he started out, but as time has gone by, he's become more and more entrenched into his belief system, which is kind of the way religion works. So, yeah, it's you. Is this your favorite pose, Fangs? Do you do this a lot? I think you probably do. I think when you see a lot of discussions, this is what happens. So, oh my goodness. Yes, I got about 2 minutes now. The thing about streaming at 7, I'm gonna go a little bit shorter than I normally do, but you're gonna get another stream on Wednesday eventually. So that'll help. And I've been using extra time before the stream to kind of get ready for work. So everything's ready to go. I just got to get my shoes on and grab my coat and stuff like that. So it's me being more prepared. So it should be fine. But yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, we'll pick up on it Thursday. Deconversion Hangout. See you all then. It's been a great stream. Thanks everybody who donated today. I want to thank Earl for updating to being a Rabyd citizen, full-fledged Rabyd citizen. That's great. Thank you very much. Josh with a couple donations, Stormwarden with a couple, and then of course Fred. Thank you all so much. You guys have been great. It's been a good discussion today. Like, there's a lot of things going on. I appreciate it. Keeping everything decorum wise. Appreciate that too. Works for me. But yes. Hey Jimmy. You have to start shining up earlier, Jimmy, because I'm about to sign off. But good to see you. Good to see you around. So yeah, but see everybody later. As always, thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate all of you. May Fangs nibble on all of your hearts. May he purify your religiously corrupted vegetables with his pointy teeth. May he avoid taking your stash, and instead you need to leave a circumcised carrot on top of your stash, and then he may or may not take your stash. You might honor the offering or not. So your poor pink nose. So nom nom and all of that. I will see you all Thursday for Deconversion Hangout. Make sure that you show up for that. And as always, folks, live your best life. You only get one go around and then it's over. So make sure you're taking all your time, your money, your opportunities, and giving them to yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith. That's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, folks, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch all of you next time.